This episode of the Zen Disc Golf Podcast is brought to you by AppalachianDiscGolf.com. Discs, bags, accessories, and even books signed by yours truly, with free shipping on all orders. That's right, free shipping on all orders. AppalachianDiscGolf.com. Boom. What's up, plastic pilots? It's time for your moment of Zen. Mind is the master power that molds and makes, and man is mind, and evermore he takes. The tool of thought and the shaping he wills brings forth 1,000 joys and 1,000 ills. He thinks in secret, and it comes to pass. Environment is but his looking glass. That's by James Allen from his book, As a Man Thinketh. Definitely recommend it. Welcome to episode 8 of the Zen Disc Golf Podcast. Zach, what's up, man?
Pat, how are you?
I'm doing great. It is hot.
Yes, I picked a bad day for khaki pants.
You're wearing khakis?
Yes, I am.
Forgive me for not noticing.
Like Jake from State Farm.
Oh, are you?
Yes.
But hey, it's been like what, like a 110 heat index?
It's been hot.
All week. It's been pretty miserable. But hey, we got our Slurpees, right?
Yes, we do. Cheers.
Yep, cheers. You know what else we got to keep us cool? The cool voice of Mind Body Disc, Mr. Tim Steward himself. How are you?
Hey guys, I'm doing great, guys. How about you?
Great. We're in the AC.
Can't be
drinking Slurpees.
That sounds perfect. I'm inside myself. It's been a little hot here, but not quite what you guys are describing.
I was going to ask about Chicago weather, how it was over there.
It's mosquito and tick season right now.
Ooh.
Pretty much the same here.
Yeah.
But I don't get ticks too bad for some reason.
I had one yesterday way up on my thigh. Way up there. I was wearing pants. That was scary.
We went and played disc golf at Bayville not long ago and met up with one of the fans of the show, actually, and he was telling us that at Northwest River, he went out and he came back from the course and had like 40 ticks on him. That's 40 ticks.
Ooh. Wow. No, thank you.
So I have not gone to that course since he said that.
In related news, Zach is not playing Northwest River.
So everyone, we have a really fun show planned for you today, especially because Mind Body Disc is here with us, Tim Steward, and we've been kind of trying to plan this out for a long time. And the topic today comes from a chapter from Zen and the Art of Disc Golf, my book, and I thought this would be the perfect topic for Tim to join us on. Your thoughts become you. So I'd like to start real quick by reading the intro to that chapter from my book, and we'll move on from there. We got a couple different things to talk about how this relates to disc golf, and man, how powerful an idea it is. So from the book, in chaos theory, there is an idea called the butterfly effect that hypothesizes that a butterfly's flapping its wings in Brazil can cause a hurricane in Florida. And there's also been experiments by physicist Lorne Whitehead that conclude that in the domino effect, each domino can knock over a domino 1.5 times its size. So to put this into perspective, a domino 5 millimeters high, now get this, 5 millimeters high and 1 millimeter thick can knock over the Empire State Building with only 29 progressively larger dominoes. So that's pretty amazing, Zach.
Wow.
That is.
Yeah. So, but if this is true, imagine how your daily habits, actions, and even thoughts can affect your life or your game on the course. So the tiniest thought of victory or defeat can change who you are without you even knowing it. And this is because, and I make this assertion, your thoughts become actions, your actions become habits, and your habits become you. You can't argue with that.
No, that's flawless.
No, that's strong logic right there.
And I was reading a book this morning. It's the first time I've read this book, but it's called As Man Thinketh. And that's where our moment of Zen came from. Have you read that, Tim?
Is that James Allen?
James Allen.
Yeah.
Right on. It's only like 40 pages long, and I believe you can get it on Kindle for free.
Really?
Because it's a really old book, but it's super, I mean, it's to the point. It's amazing. It's good. You've got to get that book.
Oh, I'm going to go get it tonight.
Well,
yeah, you can read it in one sitting. It's a great read.
Yeah, I actually read it in my hammock out in the back in 110-degree weather.
Fantastic.
But I mean, I had my highlighter out and I was highlighting like everything. I'm like, okay, well, it doesn't really mean anything if you highlight every word in the book.
Right.
But I did pick out a couple of parts, quotes from that book that go right along with that statement that your thoughts become actions, your actions become habits, and your habits become you. And so for the thoughts become you part of it, James Allen says, as a plant springs from and could not be without the seed, so every active man springs from hidden seeds of thought. And for the part that says your thoughts become actions, act is the blossom of thought, and joy and suffering are its fruits. So your thoughts become actions, your actions become habits, and your habits become you. So I'd like to talk real quick about Dr. Masaru Emoto. You know who I'm talking about there, Zach?
I sure do, yeah. We just got finished watching the video about his experiments with the water crystals and the rice. Very powerful.
Have you seen that, Tim?
Yeah, those pictures are amazing, aren't they?
They are, definitely. So just to give you a little bit of background, what I'm going to do in the show notes, I'm going to leave some links to the YouTube videos, which are just very, very powerful. I want to talk real quick about the ice crystals. And basically, what this does is it creates a visual component for you to help you understand how powerful thought is, and possibly language, which really is a symptom of thought, if you really think about it. What Dr. Emoto did was he experimented with the effects of different ideas, words, and music on the molecules of water. He froze them and then photographed untreated distilled water, and then different shapes. Samples were frozen, and he photographed the distilled water to show various formations, so essentially the ice crystals. And what's amazing is that the water that he would, for example, put the words thank you. So the words thank you were taped to a bottle of distilled water, and then frozen crystals were formed, and it becomes like this beautiful, really symmetrical, what you would really conceptualize as like a snowflake. And then words such as you fool, when he taped those to the bottle of the water, they would photograph the ice crystals, and they were like completely unsymmetrical, discolored, just insane looking, like just really distorted looking flakes. They didn't look like snowflakes at all.
Right.
They reminded me of if you see pictures of healthy cells and cancerous cells. It's really that big of a difference.
Absolutely. Yep. And some of the other things they did was play music, and like classical music, obviously, real nice symmetrical shapes. And one of the coolest ones I saw was that they played Elvis Presley's Heartbreak Hotel, and it actually resulted in frozen crystals that looked like they split in two.
I didn't see that one. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I don't know how the water can read or know English, but it is amazing that the thought has created those distortions in the snowflakes.
The power of Elvis.
Yes, the power of Elvis breaking apart water from beyond the grave. So the other thing that Emoto did, one of his lesser-known experiments, was an experiment with rice. Have you seen that, Tim?
That one I haven't seen. I've just seen the water crystal one.
Yeah, so with the rice experiment, he took 3 beakers, and he put rice in the beakers. He covered them with water, and for 1 month, for the first beaker, he said the words, thank you. And the second beaker, he said the words every day for a month, you are an idiot. And the third one, he just ignored. That was like his control. So he didn't talk to it at all. And so when he came back after 1 month, the rice that he had said thank you to, he showed gratitude to every day for a month, it kind of fermented and apparently left a pleasant aroma. The one he said, you are an idiot, the rice turned black. And the one that he completely ignored, the rice began to rot. And what he was trying to show, or what he ended up coming to the conclusion, that indifference actually does the greatest harm. So I'm gonna put those videos up on in the show notes so that people can watch them. But the reason I bring up those experiments is I think they're really cool, and they're a visual display of actually what our thinking does to us. And what does that relate to disc golf? Everything that you think before you walk out on the course and while you're on the course is going to reflect in your game. Have you guys had any experience with that?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's it's everybody's gone through that situation where, you step up to the tee box and you, even if you try and think positive, if the last thought that goes through your head is don't hit that tree, that's how we hit a lot of trees.
Boom, trees hit.
Oh, you saw me do it the other day. We teed off on the infamous number 8 at Munden, and I said, man, if I could just get off the tee box on this hole, I catch the same tree branch every time. What do I do? Tee off, great looking drive,
Whoa.
Tree.
Yeah, he did, exactly. And I had to remind him, I said, Zach, you should not say it.
Well, and even still, we get done with the front nine, and I said, it's right about here where the wheels fall off. And sure enough, bogey, bogey, bogey.
Yeah. So, definitely. So if thoughts can be that powerful just on water, and just 2 words to like paste on water, we walk around with these thoughts that we carry on this infinite tape loop in our head all day, telling us truths and lies, mostly lies, because of the things where we say, well, I can't make that shot or whatever. And I actually had a review one time, the only poor review I had on the book. Have you read that one, the 1-star one?
Yeah, me and that guy aren't friends on Facebook.
Well, of course he's entitled to his opinion, but one of his the things that he said in the poor review is that it's stupid. Well, I'm quoting here, and of course he said it's stupid to think that you're going to get an ace on every hole. Okay, well, it's stupid to have that expectation, but it's not stupid to visualize making that ace every time you walk up on the tee pad.
He sounds like a negative Nancy.
Yeah, a little bit.
Actually, somebody asked on Twitter, and I can't remember. I should have put it down, but I didn't put that question down. Actually, it was Chris.
Imagine that.
Yeah, trying to get his name on every podcast.
He has been successful, I think.
Disc Golf Chris. I think he's one of your Twitter friends, isn't he, too?
Is that Mr. Bodden?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. I love his stuff. He corrects me up all the time.
Does he just sit at his computer and just wait for one of us to tweet something?
I think he might.
Because he's like, boom, on it.
Super fan.
Yeah.
Well, wait, we did the...
love it.
We did a live...
We love you, Chris.
You're the best. We did a live opening of the Chain Cutters Union box, and just a random time, middle of the day, no warning, and he was there watching live.
It's pretty funny. So... the reason that we're talking about thought and how your thoughts become you, often people say, well, the mental part of my game is the part that I lack the most. So then when we go, well, it's your thinking, they go, nah, it's not my thinking.
Isn't that crazy how people kind of go into denial about that?
How can it... What else is the mental part? Isn't the fundamental brick or the building piece of your mind thoughts?
It would seem like it, but people just don't seem to believe that.
Yeah. So
even the word fundamental has mental in it.
It does. And there's thinking in it.
Yes.
So I really wanted to touch on that. And a couple podcasts ago, we talked about meditation. And maybe we should start with thought before meditation, this concept of thought. If you break every little thought that you have daily into its individual piece, if you were able to just slice it and figure out how many thoughts that you have are negative and how many thoughts are positive, and then try to weed out the negative and only leave the positive, that's the act of meditation. Would you guys agree?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I found even too that one of my favorite parts. I try and meditate every day, and one of the biggest benefits for me is you mentioned that internal dialogue that loops around in your head, and meditating. I think a lot of people misunderstand is sitting there trying to empty your head, and really it's trying to let that dialogue kind of run free and observe it, so that you can see that negative stuff and you know that it's there, and then you can kind of work on it. If you don't ever take time to kind of calm yourself and figure out what's running through your head, you're never going to know what you need to correct.
Absolutely. And that, I actually, I think Chris actually trying to get another mention on the podcast. He emailed me this week after I wrote that article about meditation. I didn't even know, Tim, that you were writing articles about meditation. We have one brain, and
we do that a lot, don't we?
We do. The funniest one was our introduction, I think. Well, I have two Tim Steward stories that I think are funny. The first is our introduction. I was just about to complete the book, just about to drop it, and I had Googled books about disc golf, and Tim, your blog was the first one to come up.
With the reading list?
Yes.
That's funny, yeah.
The first sentence of your reading list says, "Who says there's no books about disc golf?" And then I started reading it, and I was like, "Oh, I'm emailing this guy right now because there's one about to drop."
I was so happy to see that too, because there really are so few that are directly about disc golf. It's nice to be able to add one to the list that really it's directly about us, and you don't have to kind of do the end around and read about another sport and apply it to this sport. Yeah,
right. And I actually am reading another book. It's called, what was it called? I can't remember what it's called, but it's an old sort of Zen book, and he says, "From one thing, 10,000 things."
That's Miyamoto Musashi. That's
you got it.
Wow. The Golden Rings. I believe it's called. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have it on audiobook, and I go back to it when I can't find a podcast I want to listen to. I couldn't remember the name of it.
It's a great book.
Yeah, it is.
He's so right.
It really is awesome. But that was the one line that really stuck with me, and I'm like, that's why I wrote a book about disc golf. From one thing, 10,000 things.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can learn one thing from disc golf, you can apply it in 10,000 different ways.
Yes.
It's basically what that's saying. So moving on, I've got a couple questions for us. The first question comes from Lions Fan 1. Tim, I'll let you field this one real quick, and then I'll have Zach answer. What is your strategy for playing a course for the first time?
I saw this come across on Twitter today, and it's a question that I've actually gotten a lot. And the course by my house, we just redid it last year. It's become a destination course. So I play with a lot of people who that's their first time on that course. So
right on.
I thought about, kind of what helps them and what helps me. And the first thing that I always tell people, I'm like, look, this is a great course. Really remember to have fun, look around, take the course in. Don't get too caught up into, I'm unfamiliar with this, or I'm unsure, or I don't know what to do. I mean, really, you're at a new course. One of the best things about this sport is you're out on these courses, and they're just gorgeous. And you really you don't want to finish your round and not actually have seen the course.
Right.
So I tell them that's the first thing. The second thing I tell them is, don't worry about your score. If you do other things right, your score will take care of itself. Don't get too caught up in the score. But the way to score well on a course you haven't played for, in my mind, is a lot of us have played enough disc golf where we've played pretty much enough different holes to have required just about any line you can think of. So what I try and do is, if I step up to a hole, I try and compare it to one that I already know and I've already played a lot. And then I picture that hole in my head and throw the hole that I know instead of the one that I don't. And
That's good advice.
That tends to work pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing I want to bring up that was pretty funny, this past week, you dropped a blog on the bag switch.
No, I about crashed my car on the way to work. I had just dropped that post that morning, and I'm listening to you guys talk. And you're talking about switching bags, and I'm like, I'm going to have to pull over and wipe the milk off my nose.
Did you drop the blog post before or after?
I wrote it. I'm usually about 2 weeks ahead on the blog, so I wrote it about 2 weeks beforehand. But I schedule them out, and I think that one posted at about noon that day, and I have to work at 1, so I'm driving to work as the blog post is dropping, and then I hear you guys. I hear the podcast, so that was pretty funny.
You're like, Pat McCormick, get out of my mind,
stalker.
Yeah. The other Tim Steward, I meant to tell the other Tim Steward story that I have. I told to you on a podcast, Zach, a couple months ago, but it got deleted out of the podcast just for time. Tim was actually the first person to buy my book.
Oh, I remember this.
Yes, and I don't know if it had dropped yet, but you had like PayPal'd me already for signed copies, right?
Yeah. I think I ordered like 5 or 10 or something like that to give away on my site.
Yeah, I think you bought 5 copies, but I mailed you 6.
Yes, I have the collector's version to be eBayed later for an undetermined amount.
I accidentally, so I was signing books on the kitchen table and putting them in the box. Well, I completely forgot that I had my copy of the sample copy, that the proof copy is what it is, where it actually says proof copy in the back or the front of the book. I don't remember which, but I signed the proof copy and sent it to Tim.
That's awesome.
We're gonna hang on to that for the disc golf museum that's gonna come, a few years down the road.
Yes.
Hey, that would be an honor to be in that if that ever existed. But so I email Tim and I'm like, oh my God. You ordered 5 books. I think I sent you 6. And you're like, yep, you did. And I'm like, you said, do you want it back? Do you want that one back? No, just keep it. I'm an idiot.
It's one of my most cherished possessions.
Oh, that's awesome. There's nobody better who could have ended up with that, even if it was by mistake.
That's great.
So, Zach, what do you think about when what's your strategy for playing a course for the first time?
That's a good question. I've played in Virginia, North Carolina, Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, and they're all different and they're all the same. The only thing that really changes is, for me, that has any sort of effect on a new course is the elevation. Because here in Virginia Beach and here in Florida, it's pretty flat. So you go down to Alabama, there's freaking mountains. Same thing with Tennessee. That's the hardest thing for me to adjust to is elevation. Yeah. It's one thing when it's a 400-foot hole, but there's a 350-foot drop. It's like throwing 30 feet. It's weird.
Right.
But for me, I actually tend to play them faster and just let it fly, and I usually have a pretty good round. I don't know any better. I don't know how to psych myself out on it, so I just kind of throw and learn as I go.
So just by the seat of your pants.
Absolutely.
That's your strategy for new courses.
Unless it's a tournament, then I'll go play around and take it real slow. But if I'm just checking it out, throw the plastic out there, talk with the local golfers, and just enjoy the area.
So for a tournament, you guys, do you all try to get out there and play the course first,
Yes.
if you've never played it?
For sure.
The last two tournaments I've played, I didn't do that, and my scores suffered greatly.
But you said you do, Tim.
Absolutely. If at all possible, yes.
Right. Awesome. Okay, another question for you guys. This one came from Twitter as well. This one came from Slizzard, or S Lizard, something. You have a life or death putt, 65 feet. And you can pick one of the top pros to take the shot. Who do you pick, Zach?
Oh, Jay Redding all day.
Jay Redding?
Yeti, yep.
The Yeti. What about you, Tim?
Yeti's a great answer that I didn't think of, but that's a good one, Zach.
Hey, thanks.
I'd have to, after watching the footage from the Beaver State Fling this weekend, I'd have to go with the obvious choice for me, which is Macbeth.
Yeah.
Some of those putts he sank were amazing.
Right. He is an amazing putter as well. I was going to go with Will Schustrick.
Oh, good choice.
Because I put on our Vine some really strong putts. One of the things that I noticed about him, I was watching, I don't remember which tournament it was, but he was like 5 feet from the basket or something like that, and it was for bird. He putts, I think it went through the chains, so it was like totally unexpected for everybody. He had that putt, but it was just something, it just slipped right through. The putter actually landed and rolled down a hill at least like 15, 20 feet. And he didn't get upset, didn't get mad. I mean, perfect, just Okay. Just went, he knew he had a job to do, and he went down the hill, grabbed a putter, put it in.
Nice.
And it was like not even a second of thought. So that's why I go with him. All right, moving on. What are you throwing segment? Tim, what are you throwing?
So I think you had said we want to talk about, if I can only talk about one disc, I have by far a favorite in my bag, which is the Latitude 64 Pure.
Okay.
I'm a huge fan.
I'm glad you didn't take mine, because that would have...
I was going to say, yeah.
Because I got a Latitude 64 one as well, but go ahead.
All right. I just, I'm a big believer in throwing a putter whenever you can. It gives you just a ton of control, and I'd say if wind permitting, if I'm 250 or closer to the basket, I really, if I can throw the Pure, I will. It's super straight. The numbers from our friends over at Infinite Discs, I think they listed as a 3 speed, a 3 glide, a 0 turn, and a 0 fade. So the thing is a point and shoot disc. It really just goes right where you aim it. And the other thing that I like about it is, when you get those discs with the 0 turn and 0 fade, they really make you throw with good, clean form.
True.
And it rewards proper form. So if you can get this disc down, or you can get a disc like this down, I think it translates to the rest of your bag. But yeah, I'd have to say, and it doesn't hurt that last year I got my first tournament ace ever with the Pure. So
oh, wow. Congratulations.
Yeah, now no matter, even if I find something I like better, it can't leave my bag for that
Right on.
reason.
Are you mainly a trilogy guy?
I am right now. I really like the plastic a lot. It's more about the feel of the plastic in my hand than anything else. But I would say that I have to give Zach kudos for last week's pick. The Orion LS was in my bag for years.
Yep.
And is one of my top all-time favorite discs. That and I don't know if you've thrown the LF.
I have.
I think they're both. I carried those two discs together for probably 4 or 5 years as my main drivers. And I think Millennium makes some amazing discs right now.
They really do.
I'm going to have to try some. We're going to have to do that bag switch, because I haven't thrown that one yet.
No, you can't. Then I might not beat you.
No, it's not discs, Zach. It's not discs.
No, good.
Zach, what are you throwing, buddy?
That's none of your business. What's in my bag? It's private. No, I'm just
taking all the stamps off my discs so no one knows.
All right, so I have what could be described as a serious putter addiction.
We're going with another putter?
I have to have them all to like Pokemon.
You guys should have warned me. I didn't go with a putter this time. If we were going to talk putters.
It's a lot of collusion is what it is.
All right.
So I went with the Gateway Voodoo, and I use it soft. And for Gateway, soft means concrete. So it's a good stable putter, and it's hard as a rock.
It is, and this is like it's hard as a rock in 110 degree weather.
Yeah, there's no give.
What is this like in the winter?
Again, it's hard to throw, but it fits my hand well. You've seen me throw this disc on hundreds of upshots, and how many you've seen? What, maybe 2 or 3 go awry,
right?
And that's just with a hard headwind.
Yeah,
and that thing's 5 years old. Yeah, and they don't wear.
You do put a lot of faith in that Voodoo.
It's a lot of confidence with that.
Kind of sounds like a pun. Yes.
So that's a 3-speed, 4 glide, 0 turn, 1 fade. It's a putting approach, and it's for everybody. I've used it as a putter for a few years, switched, used some other stuff, and I've just recently come back to it, but it stays in my bag as an upshot disc, and it would take a real mean dude to take it away from me. Right on. What about you? What are you throwing?
Well, mine, Zach, the one I'm doing is the one that every time I do a what am I throwing, you say, I can't believe you did that one instead of this one. Especially when we go on the course, every time I pull that out of my bag.
I know.
every time I pull it out of my bag, he goes, how come you haven't done a what are you throwing on that? You throw it like every other hole. And that's the Latitude 64 Misslen. And I can't remember I think I bought it at Play Again. I gave one away initially through the Facebook, and I just saw how everybody was like jumping on the bandwagon to try to get. That was like one of the most entries I had for a disc giveaway. I said, all right, I gotta go try this out, because my the giveaways I get come from Infinite Discs.
Right.
I usually pick something that I think everyone's gonna like, or Alan Barker from Infinite will pop up and say, hey, this is selling well, this is what people are liking, maybe you should give this one away. I either do it that way, or during the weekend sometime I'll say, hey, drop a link from Infinite Discs and tell me what you want me to give away, which is what I did the last week. But one of the original ones I did was because everybody wanted it. Then everybody jumped in, and it was that Misslen. So after that happened, I had to go pick one up. So I picked one up, and holy cow, is this thing overstable. But I love it. For some reason, I really love a overstable disc. And so, according to Infinite Discs, it says that the unique hexagonal cavities on the disc are designed to reduce to help drag. I don't know about that. It's a little scientific for me, but yes. I will say this is one of the discs that I have thrown the farthest. Now, I almost always throw it on a flick, and almost always angle that wing up quite a bit. The skip on this disc just goes forever.
Oh, skip 3 feet off the ground in a field full of grass.
Why don't they have a skip rating?
That's a good question.
I think it's probably going to happen after this podcast.
Talking to you, Dave Dunapus.
Right? We should talk to Dave Dunapus.
We should.
Dave, if you're listening, we want you on the podcast.
Yes.
That would be amazing. So anyways, the Latitude 64 Misslen has a speed 15, glide 3, turn 0, fade 4. And I use that on... Yeah, I probably, again, just like last week, I probably don't power it for all to speed 15, but I'll even throw it on a short dog leg right with a flick, and because it just turns over so nice for me. So that's what I went with. Some people say that well, I don't know if they're talking about the hexagonal groove cavities or whatever they're talking about, but the grippy stuff, I guess that's what they're talking about, on the disc. Some people say that messes them up. It didn't do anything for me.
Well, they put a slick spot for your thumb anyway.
Yeah, the slick spot is kind of like what it would be like if those things weren't there, I guess.
I have a question for you both. Now, this Misslen has a speed of 15, and I think that we can agree that Innova kind of has the industry standard for disc ratings, the 4 category ratings, with their fastest discs being 13.
Okay.
And some of the Latitude discs have, the Latitude and the West Side have 14 speed and 15 speed. Do you think those are truly faster, or do you think that's a marketing strategy?
You're the disc pro, so I'm gonna send this to Tim. I'm the Mine pro.
I think speed is one of the most misunderstood ratings on discs at all, because if you think about it, just because you have a different disc in your hand doesn't mean you can throw it faster than another one.
Yes.
You can only throw it so fast. So I really think I think that number really more relates to how fast you have to be able to throw to make the rest of those numbers actually come true. And I've thrown the Misslen, and I couldn't get it to work.
Yeah?
I'm one of those guys who thought it was kind of slippery because of the dimples, and it was, I don't know if you have trouble cleaning that thing off, but boy, I had trouble getting the dirt out of the little
all
dimples,
around the rim. And I have a white one too, so it really gets dirty, but I don't care as long as it does its job.
But, I mean, I would say it's probably part marketing and part true, because it is a fast disc. Whether it goes to 11 or not, I don't know. I don't know, what the number is supposed to be or not. But it is a fast disc. I will say that.
This sounds like Spinal Tap. This goes all the way to 11.
I'm gonna have to get out there and when we do this bag swap, I have to see for myself, because I can throw a flick hard,
right,
and it just seems like it's mocking me right now.
I had another idea the other day when we were out on the course out at Munden. By the way, Zach's getting really angry at his Slurpee because he lost the straw in the cup and he can't get it out. Go ahead, you can make enough noise to get it out. He's trying to be quiet and get it out, but he's like... so frustrated. I want him to be happy on this podcast.
There we go.
I think you needed a longer straw. You needed a twisty one. He lost it. He lost it again. You need one of those straws with the animal mouths.
Yes, I do.
Don't let the straw win.
This podcast is sponsored in part. No, it's not. What were we talking about? Okay. The variation on the bag swap.
Yes.
So I have another idea for that. For those who are not totally willing to swap bags, because we all have our putters that we love to putt with and everything. What if you went out and it's like, say you and me, Zach, we go out to the course and we carry our own bags, but every time we step up to a tee box, I would hand you what I normally throw off that tee box and tell you how to throw it.
Actually sounds like a lot of fun.
So, like, for example, if I flick a Misslen, I'm going to hand you a Misslen and say, I take a flick shot off this. That way you're not just, not just throwing a new disc, but you're also forced to have more types of throws in your bags because I'm telling you which throw to make.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
What do you think, Tim?
I like it a lot.
Yeah. Adds that whole extra element to the bag swap.
That sounds like homework for the Zen Disc Golf listeners.
Yes. So go home and go try that. Have somebody else determine, because I could tell you what, I never really threw, because I have a flick shot in my toolbox, I tend to stay away from Anheuser shots, but you saw me pull a couple of those out of my bags.
Oh, yeah.
The other day at Munden.
Some of them were beautiful.
Yeah, I never really had a disc that would work for me, and the Underworld.
Yep.
And the Seer. Goodness, those are two understable discs.
Yes, they are.
You've thrown those, Tim?
Yeah, actually, I've thrown both of them. I throw the Fury right now, which is a real similar disc, but I gotta tell you, when you figure out how much to back off with those discs, they throw some amazing shots with them.
Absolutely. I threw a really good one on, was it 4?
Yeah, that was
because that makes a lot, makes a big difference to our listeners.
Killer, Annie. That was awesome.
Yeah, I couldn't have paid for one better than that. Anyways, so that's what we're throwing. So, what's new with Zen, Zach?
iTunes, what's up?
What's new with Zen is probably the best news in Zen Disc Golf within the past 3 or 4 months.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, I've only been around since November, but this is the best news since then. I haven't been on a podcast, haven't re-recorded a podcast within the past, what was it, week and a half?
Yep.
The audiobook dropped. We haven't talked about it.
Not yet.
So I was given no indication by the company that I use when the actual audiobook was going to drop. They didn't give me any kind of date or anything. It just so happened I got an email that said, "Hey, your book's on iTunes." Oh, okay.
Enjoy.
Really could give my listeners a heads up on that. I'm really glad. So it's done really great. As of last week, I haven't checked on it since last week, but actually, if you were under audiobooks in iTunes, if you clicked on sports under audiobooks, it was number 6.
And that's pretty awesome.
Which for a book about disc golf being number 6 under audiobook sports, I think that's pretty great.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
You had some pretty good company on that list too. There were some. There wasn't like a bunch of no-name people on there.
Right, Scott Durick, the runner, right?
Yep.
I can't remember who the other ones were. I think he was number 3.
Rue McClanahan, Golden Girl. No, I'm just kidding.
Stephen Covey. No.
Awesome.
No, but you're right. I was in pretty good company on that. It was pretty cool, man. Also, so check that out. It's on iTunes, it's on Audible, and it's on Amazon. And here's the thing. I also didn't know how much it was going to cost. This is the one time where I was not able to pick a price point. Like, it was chosen for me. I had no idea if it was going to be $20, $25. I had no idea. When it hit at $6 across the board, I was pretty stoked
Absolutely.
because that meant everybody can afford it and there was like no excuse for people to buy it.
Exactly.
I wanted it to be affordable. I wanted people to buy it. And it's about, what, hour and 40 minutes, something like that?
That sounds about right.
Yeah. And the guy who did it, Matt Hayes, man, he did a great job. Have you heard it, Tim?
I have. He did do a nice job. I really enjoyed. I just got it a couple days ago off of iTunes, and yeah, you're right. The price point's good. The voiceover work is great. I think he did an awesome job.
He did, and like I said, I had 4 people try out. I think he was the only one out of all the narrators who, number one, had ever played disc golf. So when he said it, he wasn't saying it like it was the first time he'd ever said those 2 words together. Disc golf. And number 2, he was really passionate about the subject matter. So I think that really showed in the way he read the book. It's awesome. So, last little piece of the podcast, Zach.
It's time for
This one has flown by.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, it's Tim's just bringing a whole new element here. I can barely contain myself.
Hopefully, it's a good one. You know,
yeah.
I think what it is I'm so happy to actually be talking live with the one and only Ticklish Hamster. I think that's what it is. The biggest name in Twitter right now, from what I hear.
I love it. Awesome. Yes, sir. All right. So we've got a book giveaway to do. Pat, you mind if I read this one?
Please do.
All right.
Wait a minute. Which one is this one?
This is.
Oh, that's the long one.
Yes.
You don't have to read that in an accent.
Man.
Oh,
Come on.
You can if you want to, but at least read it correctly the first time.
All right. So just like we do every podcast, a book review, a 5-star review, very important, a 5-star review
On
from
Amazon.
Amazon is chosen. We read your review, and then you contact Zen Disc Golf with your email and say, I wrote the review, and we send you an autographed book. So without...
At zendiscgolf@gmail.com. So if this is you, email me at zendiscgolf@gmail.com, and I'm going to send you a signed copy of the book.
Yes. So, without further ado, 5-star review, Better Than Therapy by Wack N Stine on 28 April 2015. This book changed my...
Hey, pause. I'm sorry. What if we would have pulled Tim Steward's review?
I feel like that's cheating.
I couldn't do that because he's already got the proof copy. He'd be like, Pat, I don't need to email you. I'm right here. You can go ahead and send that book to...
there you go.
Yeah, you get drop ship it. All right, so Wack N Stine wrote, the book changed my life on the course, and my life in general. I recommend it to people every day, especially my disc golf friends and those I meet on the course. I've always been a positive thinker, and I know it has a ton to do with the happy person I am. The book made so much sense to me, and I can relate to it so incredibly well. It brought tears to my eyes several times. Wow. It is a magical book, and it opens minds, even the ones that are already open, to be even more open and aware of the fine details of life. My game has improved so much, and mostly it's because I learned so much about my mental attitude, the effects it truly has on everything. Thank you, Patrick, for reaching out to me and a million other people. My mind is so clear, and it all makes perfect sense. I've never been so touched by any book or learned as much by one, and it's only 100 pages. Now I'm going to go throw. Thank you, Whitney G.
Man, that's an amazing... Those type of reviews are what keep me going.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it almost... When I hear that, it almost sounds like maybe like like somebody left that was like my cousin or something, just trying to make me come up. And I do not know that person. And man, that's just awesome. I'm really glad they enjoyed the book. And so Whitney G or Wack N Stine, whichever one, email me at zendiscgolf@gmail.com, and I'll get you out a signed book in the mail as soon as possible. Also, we do want to do giveaways from the podcast for people who are listening to the podcast. But one thing I want to do is I want to get at least 10 5-star reviews for the podcast before we move into that. And I think we have like 6. So if we can get 4 more, then we'll start giving it away. And hey, if you're number 10, you got a 1 in 10 chance of getting something.
I dig it. I bet Chris Bowden's going to create like 9 accounts just to see if he can stack the odds.
Yeah, don't do that. And really, legitimately leave a 5-star review if you believe it's a 5-star show. If you don't, send us an email. Let us know what you want to hear, and we'll entertain that idea as well.
Absolutely.
And we really like having Mind Body Disc on here. It's been a long time coming.
Absolutely.
And we look forward to having him in future episodes. Hopefully, he'll join us for episode number 9.
We'll see.
Yeah, we will just have to see. What do you think there, Tim?
We're going to have to leave everybody in suspense.
Yeah. All right. Tim, do you have anything you want to plug? I mean, obviously go check out mindbodydisc.com and read the blog. I mean, he writes some really great stuff. I wish I could think to blog the stuff he blogs because it would be amazing.
I appreciate that. It's Mind Body Disc pretty much anywhere you want to go. I'm most involved on Instagram and on the blog, so those are 2 great places to start.
Awesome. And your voice is just beautiful.
Well, thank you.
It's made for radio.
Purrs like a Wolverine.
I hear my face is made for radio too. I'm not sure what that means.
That's why I keep Zach around and you, Tim, to balance out my voice. I really realized recently that I sound a lot more raspy than I thought. It's a lot more. I guess it's from all the screaming over the years.
That's you did make some very, very loud music, hardcore
music. Yeah. Incidentally, I don't think we ever talked about it, but the intro and the outro of this podcast, that's some of my work.
It's awesome work. And
yeah, you don't have to say that.
He's plugging his own album. I love it.
Boom. So, but I cut my vocals out of it so that you couldn't tell. So if you want to hear the vocals, you're going to have to go onto, what's that, Bandcamp? That's what it's called? I don't know. Go to zendiscgolf.com, and I think it's in the shop. You can check it out there. But yeah. So anything else there, Zach?
Oh, I think that about does it for me.
Does it for you?
Yes, sir.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
You want to say something to your family?
Well, my son just had a birthday, so I'd love to wish him a happy birthday if that's okay.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Luke. I love you, buddy.
Happy birthday, Luke. Okay, everybody check out zendiscgolf.com. Check out mindbodydisc.com. Follow Zen Disc Golf on Twitter, Facebook. Follow the Ticklish Hamster on Twitter. We want to get him more followers than Zen Disc Golf. I don't know why. I just want to. And then follow Mind Body Disc also on Twitter. But most importantly, just throw.